You know that feeling when life just feels like too much? Like you're staring up at a mountain of problems and you have no idea how you're ever going to climb it. Well, we're going to dive into that exact feeling through this amazing, timeless story about a guy who was so crushed by his troubles that he went to the Buddha for help. It's an ancient lesson, but you're going to see it has a seriously modern message about finding peace.
So, this was the man's desperate plea. He truly felt that life was just happening to him, that he was just a victim of bad luck. And I think we can all relate to that, right? That feeling that the whole universe is kind of conspiring against you. He was looking for some kind of magic fix, but what he got was, well, it was something way more powerful.
So instead of offering some easy solution, the Buddha did something interesting. He immediately turned the whole question right back at the man. He wasn't going to give him a simple answer, because the real answer wasn't something you could just be told. It was something you had to discover for yourself. This right here was the Buddha's first response. A huge shift in thinking. He basically told the man, look, no one's coming to rescue you. And I know that might sound a little harsh at first, but think about it. It's actually incredibly empowering. The message is that the key to getting out of your own suffering isn't hiding somewhere out there. It's already in your pocket. You just got to learn how to use it.
Now, to help the man really get this idea, the Buddha didn't launch into some complex philosophical lecture. Nope. Instead, he told two simple but really powerful stories, little parables that were designed to completely flip how the man saw his own life. First, he asked the man to just think about a flower. It starts as a little bud, it blooms into something beautiful, and then, eventually it fades. The Buddha's point was so simple. If that flower spent all its time worrying about fading in the evening, it would never actually get to bloom, would it? By focusing only on his sorrows, the man was doing the same thing. He was stopping himself from experiencing any joy right now in the present.
And then came this. Just a stunning thought experiment. The Buddha asked him, hey, if you knew for a fact that your time was up in just a few hours, would you waste those last moments worrying about money or about what your neighbor thinks of you? Of course not. All of a sudden, those mountains of sorrows would look like tiny little anthills. It's such a brilliant way to show how much our perspective really truly matters. So now that the man's mind was a little more open, the Buddha gave him some homework, a practical, hands-on task. See, this wasn't just about thinking differently. It was about getting your hands dirty and actually investigating where all these feelings were coming from. A 2-day assignment to uncover the truth.
The instructions were crystal clear. For 2 days, he had to be in total silence, with 2 pieces of paper. On the first one, he had to list every single sorrow he had and its real cause. And on the second piece of paper, he had to do the exact same thing for everything that brought him happiness. The key here, the really important part, was to be brutally honest about the causes.
So after 2 days of total quiet and deep thought, the man came back to the Buddha. And you could just tell he wasn't the same desperate person who had shown up before. The papers he was holding in his hands, they contained this profound discovery he'd made about his own life. So let's see what he found. And this was the big moment. As he read his list of sorrows, a pattern just jumped out at him. His feeling of being poor, it wasn't just bad luck. It was suffering that was fueled by his desire to have what other people had. He had no savings because of his attachment to spending money. His wife's sickness was made worse by his own neglect. He realized that every single sorrow traced back not to the world, but to something inside him, his own thoughts, his own desires, his own actions. But then he turned to the other piece of paper. And this is where the whole story just flips. His list of happinesses was long, way longer than the sorrows list. It was packed with all these treasures he'd been completely ignoring every single day. He was alive. He was healthy. He had a family that loved him. He was strong enough to work. This vault of happiness was there the whole time. He just hadn't been looking. And this was it. The ultimate realization. The one big truth that connected both pieces of paper. The root of all his misery wasn't some force out in the world. It was his own mind. His constant wanting more. His attachment to how things should be. All his comparisons. He realized these were the true causes of his sorrows. He was the one writing the story of his own suffering.
So now that he'd had this huge breakthrough, the man was ready for the final piece of wisdom. Okay, so how do you hold on to this new perspective? How do you actually live a life of peace now that you know where all the suffering really comes from?
The Buddha called it the middle way. It's not about trying to avoid sadness or happiness. It's all about balance. It means when good things happen, you enjoy them, but you don't desperately cling to them. And when sad things happen, you allow yourself to feel them, but you don't let them completely swallow you whole.
It's all about finding that stable, calm center no matter what life is throwing at you.
And that really brings us to the core lesson of this entire story. It's the most direct and powerful truth there is. You're in control. Your thoughts are like a paintbrush, and your life is the canvas. You have the power to create happiness or to create sadness, just by choosing where you put your focus.
So I'll leave you with this question. It's the same one the man had to answer for himself. Just take a moment, like he did, and really ask yourself, what simple, profound happiness in your own life have you been totally overlooking while you've been busy worrying about the sorrows? The answer just might change everything.